x-axis is your time. Here at 0 seconds, it told you you are 96 feet above whatever the ground or whatever you are. You are dropping a pebble and it's going to fall and hit the ground, and you're looking for the amount of seconds it takes for that to happen. You're looking for whatever the time is. Now please note, that is half of a parabola. The rest of it would be like this, but it doesn't really matter because you're only doing that. Most of you plug this into your little calculators and blah, 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 blah. Got some answer by tracing that whole thing. That's all well and good. But you could have easily done it this way as well. Okay, h, you're looking for where h is 0, because that's what this line is. Oops, that is your h is 0 line. What did you do that? Don't I have full screen on here? So you just put 0 in for h and solve this thing. 0 equals negative 16t squared plus 96. Subtract or add your 16t squared to the other side. So 16t squared equals 96. Divide by 16, divide by 16. T squared equals 6. It goes into it evenly. So what does t equal? The square root of 6. Which if you plug into your little calculator, guess what you get? 2.45. So you really don't, if you want to use the calculator and graph the parabola and put your little trace your thing and see where your zeros are for that, I wonder if it'd be interesting, I would have to assume that the 0 over here would be at the same place on the other side, negative 2.45, but you're not throwing this one backwards. But that really is not a hard thing to solve. By the way, you could have solved it by factoring too, but let's not even go there. So if you want to use a calculator, that's fine. If you want to do it this way, it's fine. Round to the nearest 100. You're probably going to have a calculator at least to do that part, but everybody's happy with that. Second one, graphing that one. Number 2, 2x squared plus 8x. Did you just copy your thing off the calculator for this one? Yeah, pop out. What's that? Wait, you just have to plug the number in and push it right.
I don't know. I did something wrong. Don't rely on calculators.
That's exactly it. Axis of symmetry is what? Strickle, negative b over 2a. We should probably define our things. A is 2, correct? B is 8. And C is 6. By the way, the letter C is always the y-intercept. So you know there's going to be a dot at 6 on the y-axis. You're looking for the axis of symmetry first. Negative b over 2 times a. B is 8. A is 2. So negative 8 over 4 is a negative 2. There is your axis of symmetry. It's not so bad, is it? Then your next thing would be to do what, Ryan Connor, if you're actually doing this by hand? You're finding the, what do we call it?
Apex.
Which is called the
Minimum.
max or min. In this case, because it's a positive first term, it almost like this, it's going to be a minimum. You put your negative 2 into the equation and see what you get kicked out for what the y value is going to be. So 2 times negative 2 squared plus 8 times negative 2 plus 6. What's that going to give me? Well, you get 4. 4 times 2 is 8. I really should be doing this on a bigger piece of paper. 8 minus 16 plus 6. Doing the math there, you end up with a y is negative 2. So here at negative 2 is your min. Now I've already got this point. I can put a point over there. Probably should find one more point. How about we put what? Negative 1 in there? If you put negative 1 into that equation, 2 times negative 1 squared plus 8 times negative 1 plus 6. What's that give you? Positive 1, 2 minus 8 plus 6 is 0. So that's where you get that. And then if you have your French curve, you make the nicest, sweetest parabola in the world right there. Does that help, Caitlin? I mean, you graph parabolas very much. You could check it on your calculator, I suppose. Logan,
I so understand
what part? Give me the direction here.
I don't know.
You don't know how we can solve this and get t squared equals 6?
Oh, alright, never mind.
I mean, just added 16t squared over here, divided by 16, so t squared equals 6, and that's,
I thought you were adding 16 to the 96.
no, you can't, they're not like terms, you can do no such thing. That make sense?
Yeah.
Everybody good with that? How many people got number 3 right? I don't know if you can do this to get right.
Well, I
Right is
just-
pretty black and white.
I did X minus 1, so X.
Alright, so that was incorrect.
We call that in the math world a complex fraction. Okay, and in order to do this, you need to get this is already a nice little fraction, that's fine. In order to simplify this though, you need to get this down to a single fraction. And you do that, you just add those together. 1 over 1, make it a fraction, plus 1 over x. Your common denominator would be x, pretty simple. X times 1 is x, so you multiply the top by 1. 1 times x is x, so you have to multiply the top by x. What happens when you add them together? You get x plus 1 over x. And then once you get this, it's just a fraction divided by a fraction. 2 over x divided by x plus 1 over x. What do you do when you multiply or divide by fractions? You flip and multiply the second one, so it's 2 over x times x over x plus 1. This is one quantity. It does not cancel out with something unless there's an x plus 1 somewhere else, which there's not, but there is an x here and an x there. Hence the reason you're left with just a 2 over x plus 1. Did I do something wrong, Maggie?
No, do we have to do the one of the back, or do we do the same thing if we do just the
Wait, it's the same thing if you did it how?
it's just the
I don't know what you're saying. If you just multiply what? If you didn't add this together,
like if we didn't do that,
how'd you get it down to one fraction and what did you do?
then instead of multiply, it's gonna be the same thing.
So you left 2 over x and then how did you, I don't know what you,
That's the other one.
this is on the bottom? You wanna do it here for me? Please? I don't,
Like 2 over x times 1 over 1 plus 1 over x. What's the other?
times,
Yeah.
you're saying take this and have a 2, oh, you're adding 1 plus,
No, it's just 1
1
plus.
plus 1 is 2 and make that times x over 2? I don't.
No, no.
I am confused, I'm just confused.
I get what you're saying, but I don't understand how she did it.
Yeah.
What? Right. It's the same.
Oh,
No, I did not do that. But added, they made common denominator, which was x, and we added x on one side. Because it's a common denominator.
wow. Sure, Maggie, I think that'll work.
Oh, use
Sure, if that works for you, I'm gonna say yes. I hope. I think I would do it this way though, but.
Okay, so 3.
Put it in.
What's that? Wow.
I don't know. Good job, Brooke.
Which part?
Just like I got that. I got that. I got that.
Well, when you added it together, when you added this together, you ended up with this, right? And you still have this on top. Let's start off on top. So you add it together, you have that on the bottom. Then it's just that divided by this. You flip and multiply. It's this fraction divided by this fraction. Which one? Oh, you got the rest of the words, you actually have that, what you actually, you need to add the x plus 1 over x. Lest we digress, children. Number 4. Please know whatever that 2 is on the outside of parentheses, whatever's in the inside of the parentheses gets squared, so it's 5 times the square root of 5 times 5 times the square root of 5. The normal numbers get multiplied for 25. The square roots get multiplied. The square root of 5 times the square root of 5 is the square root of 25, which ends up just being a normal 5. And that's where 5 times 25 is 125 comes from. That one shouldn't have been too different, or too difficult. Number 6, 5. You draw the little rectangle. You know its area is x squared minus 12x plus 35. And you know one side is x minus 7. You are looking for what will this other side be. 2 different ways you can do this. One will probably a lot easier than the other way. First of all, what type of problem is this going to end up being? If you think about, take away all this stuff and just put other numbers in it. Let's say the area of this is 40. And what you knew one of the sides to be 8. How would you find that side? Divide. What number times 8 gives you 40? It's a division problem. Well, that's the same thing with this is. You're going to take x squared minus 12x plus 35 and divide it by x minus 7. Now you could do it, we've done that whole polynomial division thing. Okay, you could do that or you could write it out separately like this, x squared minus 12x plus 35 divided by x minus 7, and hope that when you factor this you get x minus 7 as one of your terms, because then it'll cross out and leave you with multiplied. If this doesn't work, this is your only option. You have to do it there and you'll get some sort of remainder. But this does factor into x minus 7 times x minus 5. And then the x minus 7s would cross off. When you do the division, you'll end up with your x minus 5 for this side. If you divide it out like this, you will get x minus 5 guaranteed. Do you want me to do it or no? Okay, I'll assume that's a no. Odds are tomorrow it's probably going to work out like that. I don't know if they try to lead you along a little bit there. Right. It's getting more exciting by the moment. How many people missed completing the square? Everybody got completing the square? Perfect. The only thing you have to remember is to divide b by 2, cut it in half, and square it. This number here comes from, when you take 4, cut it in half, which is 2, square that, you get 4. The reason you do that is because that's perfectly factorable into x plus 2 times x plus 2. If you missed that one, that's 6, 7. Rationalize the denominator. Oops, I'm sorry. In order to do this, I don't know if we have to do this here, but you got to think about this like this. If you have a fraction under a square root sign, it is the same thing as the square root of 5 over the square root of 2. Those are the same thing. And then to get rid of rationalizing the denominator means this is not an acceptable math thing. You cannot have an irrational number in the bottom, so you need to make it rational, and you do that simply by multiplying by whatever it is. That'll make the square root sign go away. Square root of 2 times square root of 2 is square root of 4, which is 2. And then on top, those two give you the square root of 10, which does not simplify. But for some reason, that's much better. If I gave you the square root of 10 over $2, how much money am I giving you? David Swenson.
Not all of it.
Just take a guess. You should be able to give me some sort of a reasonable guess. Is it gonna be enough to buy a spinner toy? Huh?
Maybe like less than $1.50.
Square root of 10 has to be what, between 3 and 4. So you're gonna end up with like 3 over 2, 1.5, 1 point something, 2 maybe, but no more. Oh, this one. How many people missed this one?
For raisins, I'm raising.
Huh?
I'm raising.
You are? Let's walk it slowly through here. You wrote it up and down, yes? By the way, that's my rule. When you get to high school, they won't probably tell you to do that, but
Recommend.
I just have always done it that way, and that doesn't mean it's right or wrong, it's just the way that I found it. Step number 1 is to factor the denominator so you can find your least common multiple. And factoring this, you end up with what, 3 times x minus 2, correct? X squared. What? What? Didn't somehow? Oh, okay. Doesn't that make it? X squared minus 4, that's a perfect square binomial, which means breaks down to x minus 2 times x plus 2. So if you take the group that has the most of each type of factor, this one has the most 3's. They both have 1 x minus 2. And this one has 1 x plus 2. This is the smallest, the least common multiple of the bottom, making your common denominators.
Isn't it 2x squared?
Huh?
And the times 2 squared.
For sure it is. I thank you for that before I got all the way through that. So then you just go, okay, I have this and this are the same as this, I'm just missing the 3, which means I would have had to multiply this by 3, so I need to multiply this whole thing by 3. And here is, if you missed it, this is probably partial the reason why, this is a minus that. So when you multiply 3 times 4x, you get 12x, but it's a minus 12x. And you multiply 3 times negative 3, you get negative 9, but it's minus a negative 9, which actually makes it a positive number. This is where most people go wrong if they miss out.
Yeah.
Here you're missing the x plus 2, so you have to multiply the top by x plus 2. Little distributive property there gives you 2x cubed plus 4x squared. Maybe did you do it this way? On the bottom, you end up with 3 times x minus 2 times x plus 2. On the top, nothing combines, nothing simplifies, you just end up rewriting the whole thing. 2x cubed plus 4x squared minus 12x plus 9. Copy there. Did anybody miss this one? You can tell me not to do one if you really like. Step number 1 in factoring is always, always, always check to see if all terms have a common denominator or a common factor, which would be what? A 2, an A, and a B. And when you're left What are you missing to get to that? You get a squared left. This one you have to multiply the 2 by a 2 and an a. This one you have to multiply by an 8. Then, once you do that, check the trinomial to see if it is factorable. Can you do it? I don't know. I'm guessing it is, because a lot of times they do. What times that gives you 8? Add it together gives you -2. How about a 4 and 2? Plus 2 minus 4. And then that 2ab hangs on the outside still. I don't believe it's any more factorable than that. Math just takes so much longer when it's, we're in 5th grade. 5th grade, they give you multiplication things just to keep you busy. Now it takes forever just to do 3 problems. This one, finding the zeros, that is just where it crosses the x-axis, and boom, it's already there, so I don't know what else you could get besides 2 and 3. And there's no math to do there, just look at the graph, find out where it crosses the zeros, the answers. How about this? What is the domain of this? Just because I want to see if anybody caught on to it. What would be the domain of that parabola? If for no other reason than just to see if anybody comprehends or remembers this.
All real numbers.
Ryan Connor says all real numbers.
I can't remember his domain, the x-axis, or.
I think the range is
Domain is x, whatever, how wide it goes.
Yeah, so all real
Range
numbers.
is up and down. Yeah, the domain is all real numbers. Just because it's always going to review that. The range is, well, we wouldn't really know. We'd have to know what this number is. Y would have to be greater than whatever this is, which I don't know what it is. Looks like maybe it's a 1. No. No, this is 1. It'd have to be like 1/4. Enough of that, sorry. Need some mnemonic device to remember which is domain. What is this one? Do we know how this one works? Grace, why don't you want to explain this one to me? The only thing I can tell you is take this in your notes because it still kind of gets me up. Whatever your plus or minus is, boys and girls, ladies or gentlemen, that is the thing that goes at the end. That is your difference. When you do some subtracting, whatever, that is what your answer needs to be. Okay? It's an absolute value equation because it has to be between those two things. You are taking the weight, I believe, and whatever value that needs to be in the middle is whatever you're subtracting. Because, you know, you get 150 is in the middle. That is your middle thing. You're allowed to go either 3 bigger than that, which would give you 153. That's plus or minus 3. That's the plus 3. Or you're allowed to go 3 smaller than that, which is 147. You kind of know what your answers are. That's your range. Okay, and how would you get that? Well, if you took 153 minus 150, you get a 3. If you take 147 minus 150, you get a -3, and that's why it's an absolute value, because that'll change it back to that positive 3 that you need to get there. And it's an inequality, so you have to decide what inequality that is. Is it greater than or less than 3? Absolute values have to be, has to be less than 3. It said no more, has to be within 3 pounds. You can't go higher than 3 pounds, so this has to be less than or equal to 3 pounds. Don't ask me why. There we go. Don't ask me why. Wait, you want me to do something? Why would what have to be negative? Why would it have to be? Because if you,
So it's gonna be like 300. trying to get like.
Because if your weight ended up being, if this was plus and you picked 147 for your weight, you're gonna get 290 something. Because you're looking, this whole thing is about differences, because you always subtract 150 from whatever your thing is, because you want to make sure the difference is between three. The difference, it's always, these absolute value ones are always gonna be subtracted, always. This one here, the inequality, ladies and gentlemen, how many people got this right? Stritzel, what form is this linear equation in? Yes, they all start with S's, yes. Slope, intercept, yeah. Alright. This is the y-intercept. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Wait, no, it's like that.
Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4. And this -2 over 1 is the slope. So from there, it goes up to either over 1 this way or over 1 that way, but it's got to be a negative slope, so it has to go over 1 this way, up to over 1. Because it's equal, it's a solid line. Now here is the question. Did anybody shade the wrong side of this?
I did everything backwards.
Y has to be greater than that. On the y-axis, the greater numbers come up here. So this is jeopardy. Has to be that side up there. That's where y gets bigger. I am mentally drunk. Wait, did we skip some? Are we actually outlined on 13? Wait, we got a whole other half of the page. Number 13, the geometric, by the way, geometric sequences are what? Anybody know the difference between arithmetic and geometric? When it says
I remember
geometric
reading about
sequences,
that in your book.
these geometric ones are always means it's multiplication between terms. Arithmetic are when it's only an addition between terms. So you just look at this and you go, well, how do I go from 2 to 6 by multiplication? 2 times what is 6? And you hope that that's the same for all of them. 6 times 3, 18 times 3. So the next one is going to be, wait, what does it say? 5 the next 4 terms. So 154 times 3 is 162. 162 times 3 is 486. 486 times 3, what's that? 1458? 14 what?
Yeah.
58, and that times 3 is 34. 4374. Multiply by 3. Solve problems. This one should be pretty simple. I'm hoping everybody got this. These are factors, so if this parenthesis is 0, it's an answer, or if this parenthesis is 0. When will this be 0? X minus what number is 0? When x is 3. X plus 2, when will that be 0? X plus 2, what number when you add 2 to it gives you 0? Minus 2. If somebody didn't give me these answers right away, what is it? Cook, what were you going to do with that? What was your other choices?
Multiply, it seemed too easy just to get up your numbers.
Yeah, that did seem too easy
I
for
agree.
the year.
I agree. Sometimes the easy ones are useful. This one here. There's more than one way to do this, I suppose, as well, right? I suppose you could say this times 2 gives you that, so you multiply this times 2 and you get that. But I would just use cross products. 2 times x equals 4 times x minus 2. So 2x equals 4x minus 8. I don't know, it doesn't matter how you solve it. Subtract 4x, subtract 4x. Negative 2x equals negative 8, so x equals 4. Did anybody do it this way here that I said?
Yeah.
Did it work? Well, it should work.
Yeah.
So you multiply this times 2 and you're gonna get that, right? 2 times x minus 2 gives you x. So 2x minus 4 gives you x. Yeah,
Wait, no, I didn't.
yeah, it works the same way.
I didn't.
Maggie, did you do some other strange?
So I did that one,
You didn't like what I did here? Wait, you got this? Did you get the right answer? Did you get 2x equals 4x minus 8? Did you multiply x times 2 to get 2x? Did you multiply 4 times x minus 2? You get 4x minus 8? Yeah, so you gotta make sure this is one whole quantity.
Alex, can you re-explain that? I was
Well, I appreciate the brutal honesty of that. Wait, you want, I will go from here again in super relatively slow motion.
I'll put this.
Not really slow motion, what is that say? Alright, so you're basically going to do cross multiplication. 2 times x has to equal whatever this times this is. And this is one quantity. It's 4 times x minus 2. Has to be distributive property. So 2x equals 4x minus 8. And then from there it's just solving. Subtract 4x, subtract 4x, negative 2x equals negative 8. Negative 2 goes into negative 8. 4 times. Caleb Cook, did number 16 give you a lot of troubles too? Because that seems like a really easy problem to me as well. Almost too easy to be honest. X squared equals 69, or 169. You're going to take the square root of both sides. You're allowed to do that. Square root of x squared is x. And the square root of 169 is plus or minus 13. I'm sure some of you use your calculators for that because you're just too lazy to figure it out. Right, David? What? Ever? See, take David, please. You did what? Google? Yes. Yeah, nice job on it. Well. Number 17, Madison. What is my first step? Isolate the absolute value sign, and you do that by the absolute value sign. You have to subtract 7 and do the opposite, which gives you 28. Now, please remember, here's the point. Once you get to that point, you have to write, don't divide by 4 first.
24.
Oh, how did that happen? Notice how 4 does go into 28. Told you the whole C and M to a number. You have to do 4x plus what you've got there and 4x minus 24. Positive 24 and minus. Which ends up giving you the positive 6 for the first one and the negative 6 for the second one. Shellhammer has got none wrong to begin this, and she's just doing her time. Nothing wrong with that. We just have to study for things. But
we just have plus or minus 6.
yeah, it's probably fine. Depends if I'm in a good mood when I'm grading for that's fine. Numbers 18. I don't remember. I'm guessing the midpoint formula was simply. Wait, was that the square root? No.
Plus 1 plus 6 plus 2 over 2.
Yeah. X2 minus plus. It doesn't matter actually, but it's fine. Was it X1 and X2? Okay, I'll go with that. And this one then would be Y1 plus Y2. You're finding the average of the X's and you're finding the average of the Y's, and that'll give you the middle of the thing there. Once again, maybe for the last time ever in your lives will I tell you this. Parentheses are always good. I wonder how many times I've said that to you in the last 5 years. doesn't matter which one, I guess for consistency, make that one 1, 2 plus a -4, -7 and a 6. -2/2 is -1 for x. And -1 on top, -1/2 for y. That would be halfway. I see a finish line, pausing about how far, at what point in this whole thing did you start really tuning everything out? About 5, 6, 7? 17 is where things went way. Would it help if you had a fidget? Probably. Would it? Do you have one? And then this one here, really, the beauty of this, people, and I only do this out of habit, you really wouldn't need to do this for this one. Oh, -4 times the square root of 5y/9. All like terms, so you can just add them together as they are. I'm going to write it out just so maybe this will help you if you miss this. Plus 5 times the square root of 2x minus 9. No, sorry. 4 times the, what is that? 4 times the square root of 5y all over 9. Please understand this, like terms with radical signs have to be the same thing. In other words, in order for this to combine with something else, it has to be the square root of 2x, which this is. That makes sense if you think about it this. You have 2 square roots of 2x's, and you have some more square roots of 2x's. You can put those together, because they're alike. 2 plus 5 is 7 square roots of 2x. 5 y's would only go with 5 y's. You can't do anything with that, so it ends up staying at 5y, and the 9 has to stay in the 1. And finishing with the best one of all, solving a compound inequality. Wait, is this a shading one? What is this? Or isn't it? Oh, it's a number line thing. No, why couldn't they put a y in there? I would suppose the note to myself would be on this. Oh, look. So Cameron English decided to bring these out. Wait, is that the same one as Brooks? No, Brooks is the same.
It's a different one.
What are the popular names in widgets? What are they? Cameron English, you can redeem yourself by telling me this. If it is a less than sign, what type of compound inequality is that going to be? What? The belief, I believe, is right. If it's less than, it's an and problem. If it's greater than, it's an or problem. Hopefully when we do that then. And then obviously at this point, Claire Marco, we have to do what here? Isolate the absolute value sign. And you do that first of all by subtracting 2, which gives you 8. Then we still need to divide by 4, which gives you 2. So the absolute value of x is less than 2. Remember, Brian, kind of was this you that didn't, you keep this, you change the 2 to a negative, and you also change the sign. X has to be less than 2 and greater than -2. No equal signs or equal. I should maybe make this test with like 16 grades, just because it's a final test. Just to give you the feel of what, like, high school.
Yeah.
If you did good in English.